What's up, you guys? We are back and we are live. Welcome back to our daily live feed. As you are logging on, say hello. And of course, if you'd like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you have to go. We do hair, makeup, suits and posing, all the fun stuff when it comes to competing. And yes, you made it this time. Yes. Howdy, what's up? So we've got people logging on both on Instagram and on YouTube and Facebook. So if you are on Instagram and you want to go over to YouTube or you want to go to Facebook, you'll see the screen shares, the pictures, and everything like that. We can't screen share on Instagram, but finally made it. Well, yeah, everybody's saying the same thing, Corey. So Corey's over on Instagram. We've got people over here on YouTube too. They're saying, I finally made it. You made it. What's up? Welcome. What's up, Jared? What's up, Jennifer? Shawana, Gracie, Karen, Dorian, everybody's here. We'll give you guys a few minutes to get logged on as always. While we are doing that, I have our QR code up in the corner over here for our free webinar that will be happening this Thursday. You get on that webinar if you are looking how to make a perfect competition suit for yourself. It is a fantastic resource. Let's see. Let me try YouTube. Yes, there's screen sharings, there's photos and everything when we do it on the YouTube platform. I think that of all of the platforms we stream on, YouTube is the most user-friendly. You can also see the screen sharing on Facebook as well, but I believe it's just the best on YouTube. You see all the comments come in, all those kinds of things. So, and then of course, as you guys know too, I'm going to say this again, once the live stream ends and it goes back up, go back and comment on it, right? Go back and comment on it for me. That helps with the algorithm. That helps us get seen when everybody does that afterwards as well. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. You want to subscribe to the channel, like everything, all those kinds of things. Oh yeah, this is nice, right? Yeah. First, for those of you that are first timers here, yes, we've been doing this. I don't even know how long we've been doing this for. Almost a year, I think, with the screen sharing. I don't think it's been quite a year, maybe 8 months, something like that. We started in the middle of the season. Of course, I was going to say, I knew it was you, Corey, even though it says it's Brandon. I knew it was you. It's okay. You guys are linked. It's all good. We got it. But yeah, so whenever you log on to the YouTube portion of this, you'll see the pictures and videos that we share. Now, depending on the show, sometimes we have videos, sometimes we don't. This particular show, we don't have video from. I do have photos, so I'm going to share those from FEC News Online. I didn't catch a lot of the coverage from the One Bro Pro show because I was at the Warrior Classic all weekend. And let me know here now how many of you guys were actually on the live stream for the Warrior Classic, because I was on the commentary for that all weekend. I got a lot of really great DMs talking about how good it was and things like that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the compliments, but I also appreciate the fact that I got messages about how our commentary was actually helping the competitors on stage. Like, we had girls that were listening and guys that were listening during the pre-judging, and then they came back and fixed things at finals that we had talked about during the live stream during pre-judging. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So evangelist sale this end of, yes, time. Oh my gosh, time definitely absolutely flies for sure. So good. I'm glad you guys enjoy. So here's the thing, guys. I love doing commentary, but it's also helpful to have a partner on the live stream who knows what they're talking about as well. So Leo did a fantastic job. His parents have journalism background. So when it comes to like on screen, he's fantastic at that. So it's really awesome to have somebody else who not only knows the sport, but can talk about it as well. You know, it's a very different kind of skill, right? So we have been doing commentary for the last couple of years. And one of the things that we did shout out was gave Jerry Ward a little shout out, because the first show that we ever commentated together, Jerry was on with us. That was the DC Pro-Am 2 years ago. And for those of you that don't know, Jerry Ward was a big time influence in the bodybuilding industry, bodybuilder himself, a judge, helped with everything. He did commentary all the time, was a coach, all of the things in the industry. And he passed away this past summer. So it doesn't feel quite the same without him on commentary. He was a lot of fun. He was, I think Leo said something about him being like the, what did he call him? I'm going to mess it up. I want to say he was the father. I don't even remember what it was. He said father bodybuilding, grandfather. I don't even know, something like that. I can't remember what he called him, and I don't want to get it wrong. But anyway, he was just a really fantastic person to be around. So, that's where my commentary started with the shows and things like that. So it's always a fun time to get on the live streams and everything like that together. So. And it was cool to do an NPC show. I specifically like doing NPC shows because I feel like the competitors get a lot of value out of it. That's like getting real-time advice. Like I said, some of the girls and the guys messaged me in between prejudging and finals where like their family had been watching them and were listening on the live stream what we were saying, and they fixed things for finals, right? So I thought that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see that. So, and we all have judging background and all that kind of stuff too. So it's coming from a place of knowledge in the sport. And hopefully, one of the things I know we talk about the women here on this channel, but you need to know the history of the sport too. You need to know about the men, because the men started the whole thing and they're the ones that gave us the platform to have as well. So I have a huge respect for the men in the sport. So I enjoy also talking about that side of it too. And hopefully you guys, again, got some value out of that and learned some knowledge, some history, those kinds of things, right? So it was a fun weekend. I had a good time. It was a long day. That Saturday was a long day. I got up at 3 a.m. that morning, but they're always worth it. Always worth it. And Inez won the overall in wellness in our suit. So that's awesome. So that's the second time we've had a client that won the overall in that show. So that's awesome. In wellness. Annalise, who I'm not sure she's on tonight, she won it 2 years ago. So it's been fun. So with that, I wanted to talk about this show this weekend. We previewed the show and kind of knew the direction it was going to go as far as the judging was concerned. And we're going to go through each of the competitors like we always do, the top 5. We'll go through and critique each one with the photos and everything like that. But for those of you that saw the photos that came out, or maybe caught, live stream, I know there's a few phone videos, things like that. The girls were very, very hard for Bikini. Very, very hard for Bikini. Now, I say this is normal for European judging and European criteria. Now, we do have judges that go over there from the States. So don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is that the criteria in general in Europe tends to be harder, tends to be more muscular as far as who shows up on that stage. So this is where I mentioned in my post, if y'all saw my story post, it makes me a little bit concerned for this year. And I want to see if anybody can guess why. We've talked about this a little bit. Can anybody guess why I might be concerned about this for this year's shows? I'm going to give you a second. See if maybe anybody can guess this before I say it, and why this is actually concerning me for the judging standards and for the criteria going forward this year. I'm going to give you a minute. See if anybody can get it. I'll watch the comments. Why would I be concerned about the direction based on this show? Why would I be concerned? I know the comments are always delayed, so I want to give it a second, see if anybody has any guesses. European standards will be what shows up for the comparisons at the O. Didn't you say because there are more shows overseas? Girls are going to see what's rewarding, copy that look. It's not the standard of Bikini. So yeah, all of these answers that just came in, these 3 comments, they're all correct. More European ladies equals more harder physiques that may place higher, getting stand. Yep. The beginning of the season doesn't make a huge difference. But yeah, so everybody that's talking about the criteria, we mentioned this before. As Jared said, there are more shows overseas this year. A lot more shows overseas this year, which means if the criteria is leaner, harder, bigger, that's going to start shifting the criteria. And I'm not okay with that. Like, I think we'll still see the true criteria show up at the Olympia. We'll see the Jennifer Dorys. We'll see the Maureens. We'll see the Ashleys. We'll see the girls, the Laura Lees. We'll see those girls at the Olympia still do very well. But the problem is, which was just mentioned here, girls are going to see what was rewarded and copy that look. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about a lot of the shows from Europe, their standards bleeding over into the standards here, meaning we're going to start seeing girls in the States start copying those leaner, harder looks. So I am here to say, please don't do that. That is not bikini criteria, you guys. At the end of the day, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. So based on who shows up on that show that day, we may end up getting somebody that has a harder look, a more muscular look. We may end up getting those things because they were the best of what showed up that day. That does not change the criteria for bikini. It doesn't change it. The criteria is still the same. The criteria still is our standards, which right now we've got the Olympia winner with Maureen and we've got the Arnold winner with Laura Lee. Those are the bikini standard. So please, ladies, when you see these European shows, don't think that that's where you have to take your physique in order to win, because it is not what we want to reward here in the States. I'm being very, very, very specific about that because I could see this going very quickly in a bad direction. And again, I go back to look at what happened at the Olympia this past year. Okay. Look at what happened with the call outs. All of the European girls that came in to the Olympia who won shows in Europe, who won multiple shows in Europe, they were all in last call out. All of them. Okay. The Olympia was huge this year. What? 70 some girls, something? I don't even know. The number's been changed so many times. I don't even know how many. The Olympia was huge this past year, right? So you had every mix of every possible bikini champion on that stage, and every single girl outside of the few that do compete here in the States, like Ivana, Alessia, outside of those few that come here, Phoebe's another one, outside of those few that come here to the States to compete, outside of those few, the rest of those European girls were all in last call out. There is a reason for that, because that is not the criteria. Okay. I want to stress this very highly right now because I'm about to pull up these photos. And if you haven't seen them yet, these girls are rock hard. They are rock hard. And that's not what we want to see. Okay. I'm going to emphasize that. And I will explain to you why I think the judging went the way that it did. Because at the end of the day, as we've talked about several times, when nobody really fits the criteria, you've got to get as close to it as you can. And something that Leo actually said on the live stream this past weekend with Warrior Classic, which I understand, is the one thing that you have control over when you get on stage is your conditioning. So the judges often look at conditioning as, okay, they had control over their diet. They had control over getting in shape. So when nothing else really matches what we're looking for the criteria, we're going to lean towards that person that had control over their look, which I feel like is kind of what happened. Okay. Because across the board, and I will tell you this as we go into the top 5, I think that each one of these girls has things they have to work on in order to do well. If they were to come here to the States. Okay. So one thing I would like to see too, is I'd like to see some of our top US competitors go and compete in European shows. I think that would help. I think that would help to set the criteria a little bit better. I'd like to see some of the girls like Ivana and Phoebe and the ones I just mentioned and all that. I would like to see them compete some, because you'll see them hit the criteria in Europe, which helps those girls to kind of see that they don't need to be this hard to win shows, right? Okay, so let's pull this up. Okay, so we're going to go to the top 5, and we're going to show the top 5. So we're going to start with Priscilla Lambacher. I don't know how to pronounce it. Lambacher. Priscilla was 5th, which is kind of where we expected she was going to land. I do think this was a better look for her than what she had at her last show, which was the Border Clash. I think she took 4th or something like that, maybe 6th. I can't remember what her placing was at Border Clash. I could probably look at it real quick. Hang on. 6th. It was 6th. So I do think that this is a better look for her than what she had, like I said, at Border Clash, especially Phoebe. Yeah, Phoebe's a good example of the criteria for sure. Because she is a little bit more conditioned, but exactly what I said was going to happen to her is what happened here. Who remembers what I said about her physique coming in more conditioned? What I said was, if she comes in tighter, if she comes in more conditioned, she's going to lose even more of her upper body, which is exactly what happened, right? She is tighter through the legs. She is tighter through the glutes. You're going to see it when we turn to the back. She's tighter than she was when she was at Border Clash, but she lost her shoulders, which makes her even more unbalanced. This is why you guys need to pay attention to what your body looks like off season, because it's not going to look the same when you get all that fat stripped off of you. And if you tend to be bottom heavy, it's going to be that much harder for you to keep your upper body to get your lower body in shape. Okay. She's not wellness. She's not big enough muscle wise to be wellness. She's not. She needs her lower half to come down. She needs to pull off some of that muscle. She does have a pretty decent quad flare there, and she's got some good glutes, but really it's the conditioning on the lower half that needs to come in a little bit more, but she needs more shoulders in order to do that. She needs more shoulders in order to bring that upper body down, right? It's just an unbalanced look. Can you guys see that? I want to make sure you can see that. And yes, Karen, you do have that problem too. You've actually grown your shoulders quite a bit. I've noticed that this year, so that's good. We've worked on that. Everybody's got their thing. Everybody's got something that they got to work on. That's hers. This is hers. She's got to get some more upper body. Somehow she's got to get some more upper body, right? She doesn't need more lower body. She needs less lower body. She needs more upper body, right? Let's take a look at her back shot. And again, for those of you that are on Instagram, we are screen sharing on YouTube and Facebook. So if you want to flip over, you can do that. So here's her back shot. And, you know, again, she's tighter than she was. And I'm going to get rid of the chat overlay so that we can see a bigger picture. There we go. She's tighter than she was when she was at Border Clash, which is better. To me, it still needs to come down like another pound. She's really close. She's really, really close here. I'd like to see just a little bit more, not much, because we're going to see some girls that have those etched in hamstrings today. We don't want etched in. We want just a little bit more. You can see she's still got a little bit of skin there, and that's just like another pound that she's got to take off from the back. But she's lost the shoulders. Oops. She's lost that top half of that X, right? We don't have those delts in the back. She's got a phenomenal V-taper here. She's got a phenomenal V-taper. She just needs more top, right? If she was in the States, I don't know, because she would have been against other people that would have probably been a better balance than her. So probably not. She probably still would have been about here because, again, at Border Clash, she was 6th. So she might have been even lower because her balance is off, right? So I think doing this show was a smart move on her part. I think she should have done this show, but really what she needs to do is grow. She needs to grow her upper body. Because again, she can come down another pound or two in that lower body, but that's not going to help her upper body be balanced. It's going to make it worse, right? So this is where you need to understand your actual physique. You need to understand your actual weaknesses and what's going to make them stronger, okay? And she's got a beautiful look. She just needs to balance it. She just needs to balance it. So let's take a look at 4, which was Marnie, 4th place. So I'm going to pull hers up. We'll pull up her front shot. All right, so this was your 4th place winner. This was Marnie. And to be honest with you, like I actually like her conditioning, but her shape's not the greatest. She's got a little bit of that. She's got that quad sweep you see there, and she doesn't have the biggest shoulder cap. I am showing the people. You just can't see them on Instagram. You got to go on YouTube or Facebook. So there's no screen sharing on Instagram. So anyway, so I'm live streaming on both YouTube and on Facebook at the same time. So you can go over there. So she doesn't have the best shape in the world. She's got a very short torso. She needs to pose this a little bit differently. She's a little bit too straight on. So she needs to twist that hip bone a little bit. But of all the girls in this top 5, I actually felt like her conditioning was about right. She's got some fullness. She's tight, that kind of thing. Again, she needs to balance the shape a little bit. And I think a lot of it's her posing more than anything else. I think if we tweak these poses up for her a little bit, I think that her body would show a lot better. I do think she's got shoulders there, but the way that she's posing right now makes her look like she doesn't. And the same thing, it looks like she's all quads versus if she twisted her hip a little bit more, we'd see some more glute pop. And I think that would really help there with that look in the front. She's just too straight on. Let's flip through these photos a little bit. We'll get to the back shot. So you can see here from the back shot, this is what I'm talking about. I think that her conditioning was the best conditioning on that stage when it comes to the criteria. She's got the hamstring tie-ins that we're looking for, the drops. She's tight, she's full, and she's round, but she's not diced, right? She's not completely shredded through those hamstrings. And she's got a great taper here from the top into her lower back. I actually think this is a very good back shot. I would put this up there with probably the best back shot in this lineup. But I do think that her posing and her front pose is what hurt her. I think if she was able to fix that a little bit, I think she could have done a lot better here. So that's my 2 cents. I like this level of conditioning on her. I think this is good. I just think that she needs to fix the posing more than anything else. Actually, I like her back pose. I think the back pose is good. So that's my 2 cents here with her. I really think it comes down to that front pose. And I think she's better balanced than what she's actually showing. Right. Let's go to third. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong one. Hold on. Lisa. So Lisa, pull her up. Okay. First thing I'm going to say is way too hard. Way too hard. Way too hard. She's got the hair pulled up off her face, which makes her look a whole lot older than I think she actually is. You need to put that hair down, you guys. There's a few divisions that can get away with the hair pulled back, figure, physique, bodybuilding, that kind of thing. Bikini, you cannot. You cannot do this in bikini. Cannot do this in bikini, you guys. It just makes you look so much harder. Makes you look older, all those things, because it just makes your lines in your face look so harsh, makes them cut, right? We talk about this all the time when it comes to your hair and makeup on stage. It's supposed to make you look fuller and rounder and more youthful, younger, brighter, fresher, healthier. When you pull that hair up off your face, it makes you look harder. And she's already super hard. She's already super hard. She's got a lot of muscle and she's hard. Right? Look at the definition that we're seeing through this hip bone and through the thigh and everything like that. She's full. She's definitely full, but she's too lean, too hard. We're seeing that in her abs. We're seeing that graininess here in the abs. We're seeing the cap delts. We're seeing that vein in her bicep. This is too much for bikini. It's too hard. Right? This is normal for Europe. This is what we see in Europe. That's why I'm making an emphasis on this, because this is not what we want to see here in the States. And this is not the bikini criteria. Now, another thing too, is that her tan is too light. Okay. Her tan is too light here. But that doesn't really make a huge difference in this scenario. Actually, having a darker tan probably would have made her look even harder. So, is what it is. But, other thing too is that she's getting dangerously close to the teapot arm, needs to drop that hand down, needs to let that shoulder round out. Just to me, this looks like somebody who has the muscularity and the conditioning of figure trying to do bikini poses. That's what it looks like to me. Okay. So, and here's why. I mean, this conditioning is too hard. This drop down into the teardrop into the hamstrings, too hard. You would see this conditioning here on a figure competitor. Okay. Hair is touching your glutes. Again, can't have that hair pulled back. Can't have it touching your glutes. I'm also not a fan of the color either. The color is this like grayish, purplish kind of color. It looks like she put some purple shampoo into it to try to make it a like a toned down blonde. Like that's what you do to get rid of brassiness and blonde. That's what it looks like she did. And so it comes off a little purple. But this is way too much here, guys. Way, 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 way too much. Okay, I'm being real specific about this, guys. Okay. This is too much. We don't want to see this. Like it's hard through here. It's hard through here. And again, she's nice and full, but she's got too much muscle. This is too much conditioning for bikini. Right? This is too much conditioning for bikini. You know, if the photographed this hard, then a person would have looked wildly intense. Yeah. I mean, you can see she's got like striations in her calves, right? This is too much, you guys. Have I said that enough? This is too much. I want to make this very, very clear. Again, this got rewarded in Europe because of the playing field that they were on. Okay. If she was here in the States, they would have told her she was too hard. She would not be getting rewarded like this. Okay, it was a decent sized show. She probably would have been on the outside of second call out because she's in shape. So they are not going to put her all the way in last call out because she's in shape. She did her job, but they're also not going to put her in the top 10. Okay, she's going to be outside the top 10. She's going to be lucky if she places in the top 15. Right? So again, too much. Okay. Okay, so let's go to second place, which is, say it one more time, all right? I'm gonna make sure everybody knows. Second place was Nora. So I think Nora is absolutely stunning. First of all, I think she's gorgeous. I think there's a few things that she still needs to work on in order to be the right proportions and things like that. When we turn her to the back, you're gonna see what I'm talking about when we're talking about how she reminds me of Janet. She reminds me of Janet a lot. Like she reminds me of Janet in the face, but also her body structure really reminds me of Janet Leo a lot. So one thing I will say is that she's put size on, which is good. She needed to put size on. That is something that she was critiqued on. She needed some more glutes, that kind of thing. She's got a nice shoulder cap here. I don't mind most of her conditioning. This is a little bit too much here, and that can probably be fixed just through a little posing. Where I'm having an issue with is like, we see this, it's like, I think this is her, what is it called? Erector in the back, which makes her waistline look a little thicker. So I feel like she's got a better pose than what she's showing here. My eye kept going here, and that's not body fat. I think that's her actual back. And so she needs to pose herself a little bit differently to hide that. Maybe try posing on the other side and see what it looks like over there, because this really ruins that tight V into her waistline. Like my eye kept going there, right? So again, I think her conditioning is a little bit, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. It's a little bit on the hard side, but in some areas it's not. Like you can see here in the waistline, it's not. Like she's not too hard in the waistline. So I'm wondering if that has to do with something she ate, or, maybe she's, PMSing or something. I don't know. She looks just a little bit thick through this waistline. Again, it could just be a matter of her pose, because this is the only place that I see that I'm like, I want this tighter, right? Everything else is plenty tight enough. Her conditioning is over the top. She does have this drop in her hamstring, which we don't want. But again, for European standards, she's actually okay right here. She's okay. She's a little bit too hard, but not super hard like we were just talking about the last girl. Okay. But we're having some issues with the shape. So again, I don't know if this is something that's fixable through posing or what it is, but I just want to see something change here. I feel like if she was one that came a little bit more straight on versus twisted so much, that might help. I think it would also help round her shoulder out if she did that and balance her frame out a little bit more. But again, would have to play with it a little bit to see where that pose actually lands on her. Let's move her to the back. Because you can see here in this transition pose, like, see, her waistline just looks thick here to me. She's got this right here. And I'm not sure what that is. And she's got a short torso, so that doesn't help, you know? And then we see the rib cage here. So it's almost like she's trying to suck in. So there's something going on here that needs to be addressed right there. Okay. Now, when we get into the back pose, this is where she needs some work. Now, she has put on some size. Her glutes have definitely gotten bigger, but this is where I'm talking about. She looks so much like Janet, right? She looks so much like Janet from the back as far as her structure is concerned. She looks like she's all glutes and no legs. So she needs a little bit more fullness in her glutes. She is a little too conditioned in the back. Like, again, she's got those dropped in hamstrings from the back. She's too conditioned. But again, for European standards, she's kind of okay for European standards. In the States, she's too much. Definitely way too much. But she needs some more, like, it's almost like she needs some more upper inner glute, like in this area, to pop it and fill it out a little bit more. But then at the same time, her legs look really thin. Her legs look really thin. So the problem with this is that this was Janet's look. You know, this is the look that Janet would bring to the stage, where she's all glutes and no legs. They're not rewarding Janet anymore, right? We saw that happen. The last time she was on stage was the Olympia, and she dropped out of the top spots. I mean, she hasn't won a show this whole past year that she competed. So it's just not being rewarded like this anymore. So I don't know if this is something she can fix through posing. I don't know if it's just a structural thing, but she needs more legs here to balance her out. The top half is fine. She's fine right here. It's just we need some changes here. We need some changes in that lower half. Oh, there, she's fully posed in this one. So you can see, I mean, she needs some more pop to the glutes. Again, she needs a little bit more roundness up on the top, but she definitely needs more legs. So if she filled out a couple of pounds, that might help. And she's got to play with that back pose to try to get her legs to look a little bit thicker. That's my 2 cents there. Then the hard part about it too, we talked about this when we were previewing, is that she has a thicker waistline from the back too. So that's another reason why she definitely needs more glutes. She definitely needs more glutes to be able to pop out to the side and make that waistline look a little bit smaller. So she looks like Janet to me. She looks really a lot like Janet. She's got those round shoulders and then thin arms. She's got the round glutes and then the thin legs. You guys see what I'm saying? Comment in. Tell me if you see what I'm saying, or if I'm the only one that's seeing this with the structure. And then we will go to our first place winner, which was Esther. And we assumed it would come down to Esther and Nora. We assumed that's how it would go. Yes, I see it in the back post for sure. Yep. As soon as she spun around, I saw Janet, and I didn't even hear you say it. Yep, 100%. She looks just like Janet. Even in the face, they look very similar, even in the face. They could be sisters, you know? All right, so this is Esther who won. Now, again, like I've been saying, way too hard. Way too hard, right? We're seeing striations in the shoulders, the vascularity in the arms, all of this definition here through the hips and the glutes and the quads, way too much. She's grainy through the legs, all of that. Even here, her rib cage is kind of sunken in a little bit. It's due to doing a vacuum. All of these things, again, these are popular things in Europe, so I'm not surprised to see this. I'm not surprised to see her win. This makes sense to me why she won. I get it. I understand. But this is not what they will reward here in the States. It is too much. It's too much muscle in the legs. She's just too hard. She's just too hard. And again, she was in the Olympia, and I believe she was in the last call out in the Olympia as well, right? Now, one thing I will say is that she improved her overall look, meaning her suit, her hair, her makeup, all that kind of stuff has definitely improved. 100% has improved. So that's nothing to sneeze at. And I do think she was the right one to pick for the win here for this particular show, because she does have the best balance from the top half to the lower half. As far as her frame is concerned, she is the closest one to the criteria, but she's too hard. Okay. Bottom line. Okay. Flip her to the back. Again, we're seeing all of this cut through her. Like, we shouldn't see all that when you turn. Shouldn't see all that. Okay, and here we are on the back pose. Look at how tight she is through the, I mean, that is a tight glute hamstring tie-in. If she filled out another couple of pounds, this would look so much better from the back. She would have so much more pop through those glutes. I mean, she's, if you look at her versus what we just saw with Nora, she's got the balance between the legs and the glutes, right? She's got the balance. But if she added another couple of pounds of fullness through these glutes, they would look so much better, right? Is this fully posed? Yeah, she's fully posed here. My critique on the back pose, get the hair off the shoulders. We can't see the V-taper. Can't see the delts. So I want to see the hair come in. So if this is you and you end up getting your back pose and you got hair on your shoulders, please move the hair off your shoulders so that we see that full X from the top into the waist and to the bottom. That's my critique on the back pose. Overall, I think her poses were the best. I think her front and her back pose were the best. I think her balance from top to bottom was the best. But she's also way too hard for the criteria. So, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is why these shows go this way in Europe, because this is a new division in Europe, right? Meaning we just started with the pro league over there in 2017. So they don't have a lot of pros there yet. They don't have a lot to pick from yet. So it's just, they have to pick the best of as many worlds as they can, right? Is the intention of the federation to push more ladies to European shows in order to change European standards? Is it to bring the European standard to the US? There's a purpose. And I want to know. I don't think I don't think it goes that deep, Jennifer. I don't think any of it goes that deep. I think what's happening is that the shows are growing in Europe. So the show promoters themselves want pro shows. I think it's as simple as that. So I think they're just adding pro shows onto their roster because they want to have a pro show added onto their show, which will make more competitors come, that kind of thing. So that's what's happening. I don't think it's a strategy from the whole federation. I don't think it's about pushing the criteria any one way or another. I think that they're just trying to grow the sport, period. And you have to remember that it's always been here in the States, and then it just started in 2017 overseas, right? That's when the split happened between the IFBB and the IFBB Elite. And so they started creating a new league and new competitors over there. Like all of the competitors that are in Europe were in the IFBB Elite, or they were part of the two before they split. So this was their criteria from the get-go. It was never our criteria. It was never the IFBB Pro League criteria, right? So it's not a strategy. It's not a strategy to push the criteria in any one way or another. It's a matter of these shows and competitors growing overseas. They're in expansion mode with all the shows. So that's why they're getting more now. They're just growing, right? So this is why we have to be careful about this through this year. This is why we have to be careful about the standards through this year, because we don't want the criteria from Europe to become the full criteria. What I would like to see happen, like I said before, is I would like to see some of our top competitors here in the States go and compete over there and win some shows. So then that way we get the criteria to start shifting over there. Because when we look at people like Ivana is a great example. Ivana, anytime that she competes over in Europe, she wins every single time, because she's the closest to the criteria over there in Europe. And then when she comes here in the States, sometimes she wins and sometimes she doesn't. And the reason why she doesn't win here in the States is always because she's too hard. That's always the reason why she won't win here, because she's too hard. Okay. Now, like I said, she does win sometimes. Sometimes she does win. But the reason why she doesn't, if she doesn't, is because she's too hard. Right? Does this make sense? We go back and look at Phoebe. Phoebe does fantastic both ways because she understands the criteria. And when she comes to the States, she brings the criteria that they want here. That's why she moved up so high at the Olympia. all of the other European competitors that came over that never competed over here didn't do anything at the Olympia. Not a thing. Right? So, questions. More questions. Go ahead and type them in. Yeah, makes sense. So, my concern, like I said, and this is where I hope you guys will spread the word about this channel and any other channels that do wrap-ups like I do, that shoot straight, that this kind of thing will get spread, because I don't want to see bikini become something it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be the entry level to our sport. Yes, it's still supposed to be hard to do. It's still supposed to be a challenge. It's still supposed to be something you work very hard for, but it's not supposed to be unattainable. It is supposed to be attainable. It's supposed to be something that someone that coming into the sport wants to look like, wants to feel like they can attain. Okay. They should be looking at the top 5 of the Olympia and then base their judging on that over there. They base the judging on the criteria. The problem is the competitors. The problem is not the judging. The problem is the competitors. The competitors coming to the stage need to bring the criteria. If they don't bring the criteria, the judges can't reward it, right? They have to reward what shows up. And that's why I say, I agree with how the judging went, because when you look at Esther, she had the best shape. She had the closest shape to bikini. So it makes sense. Yes, she was too conditioned. But again, going back to, that's the piece that when judges look at a competitor, they say, well, she had control over bringing the conditioning in, and she brought the conditioning in. So while we still think it's too hard, she gets rewarded because she's the closest on the other aspects of the criteria, right? So it's not the judging, it's the competitors, right? I know Kim was out of the top 5, but it was also too hard. I noticed how hard they all were when I looked at the photos before this. I didn't really look outside of the top 5, so I'm not going to comment on that. I can look real quickly. Let me see. Let me look at the photos. Yeah, so Kimber needs to fill out. She's very grainy. You can really see it in her quads and in her shoulders. She's got striations through her shoulders. Midsection is almost like it's sunken in a little bit. I'll just go ahead and share this since I'm looking at it right now. Here we go. This is her eyes are closed in this one, but she's closer to fully posed here than the other one. She's just got a really long torso, and it just throws off her balance a bit. She needs to open up her chest a little bit more, but you can see she's got some striations here through the shoulders. You can see the graininess in her quads. And she's really tight through that midsection, really, really tight through that midsection. If you look here, this picture, you can see how like her striations through the shoulder. She needs to fill out. She's too lean. Yeah, that's a really long torso. And here, because she's too lean, it's almost like her glutes are a little bit droopy. So I think that her leanness may be okay if she filled out. She's not full enough. She needs more carbs in there. She needs to pump everything up. It's almost like she's deflated. Like we talk about the grapes and the raisins. She looks like a raisin. She needs to pump it all out. Her conditioning, her leanness, how lean she actually is, might be okay if she was full. She might be okay if she was full, but she's not. And you can actually see like how this kind of droops a little bit in her back, her glutes. That's her not being full enough. She's not pumped up. She's not full and round. Right? So yes, there was a lot of shoulder striations in this show. There was a lot of leanness in this show. Yep. No, she needs to fill out. Yeah. Yep. And again, sometimes the leanness, like I said, she looks too hard because she's not full. She looks grainy because she's not full. If she fills out, it could be a different physique. Now you look at Esther. Esther was full. She was just too lean. She was just too lean. She wasn't full. She was full enough. Nora again was full enough, but she had that something going on with her midsection, and she needs some more size, like we talked about, her legs and everything. But there was no pop. No pop to Kimber. It was like she didn't eat a meal or something like that. She needed some more carbs in her or something like that. Any other questions you guys have? Now we do have the Wasatch Warrior coming up this coming weekend, and the pro list did come out, so we will go over that tomorrow night. It's going to be a big one. That's going to be a good show. This is what I talked about, you guys. I talked about this the last couple of weeks. We're going to start seeing these shows coming up now. These shows coming up in the next, month, 2 months, that kind of thing. They are going to be full, especially here in the States. They are going to be full of top-notch competition. They're going to be very, very difficult. They're going to be very, very difficult shows from here on out. So it's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting going forward. So yeah, I heard about the tanning being too light, and it did look too light on most of them. Yep, with the tan. It's a big thing for sure. All right, guys. That's all I've got for tonight. Like I said before, if you need yourself a winning competition suit, right here, this QR code, you can scan that. That goes to our website. You can sign up for our next one, which is this Thursday. Our website is brand new too. If you didn't notice and didn't go on yet in the last day or two, we have totally revamped our website. So it's a whole lot easier to navigate and get to where you need to go and what you want. So check that out, suitsandposing.com. Or like I said, right here, you can scan that too. We will be back on, like I said, tomorrow night. We will preview Wasatch tomorrow night. It's going to be a big one. So I'm looking forward to these next few shows. And let's really pay attention to the criteria that is rewarded here in the States, because that is what counts. That is what matters. Okay. So I hope you guys have a great night tonight. I will see you back here 8:15 tomorrow night. And I'm going to log off of Instagram first and then off of YouTube. Good night.